We can't take 4 more years of this. But the good news is we don't have to take 4 more years of it. When we win, we're going to bring back that hot job market that President Trump introduced. Frankly, the only people I want to see out of a job are the human smugglers, the drug smugglers, the child traffickers, the cartels, and I'd like to see the propagandists in the media on the unemployment line.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and Kari Lake is back like a bad case of indigestion after a greasy meal, popping up at the Trump-Vance 2024 rally with her usual bag of tricks.
I'm a fed-up mama bear who recognizes that President Trump is the only person who can lead us out of this nightmare and restore the American dream. And that's why we elected him in 2016 and in 2020.
Seriously, watching her talk about bringing back Trump's hot job market is about as thrilling as an unexpected stomach virus with no toilet paper in sight.
It's actually pretty funny because they're saying that MAGA is dying, but you know what's dying right before our eyes? The fake news is dying and the propaganda.
And did anyone else notice her makeup? I mean, I don't usually comment on someone's appearance, but it's like she's wearing 2 different shades to fool the camera. One part washed out ghost and the other part clown in hiding, giving off more of a Skeletor vibe than someone you'd trust with your vote. Ah, the good old days of the Trump administration. You know, where everyone was just peachy unless you were actually living through it. Kari Lake is out here talking about Trump's hot job market like it was the best thing since sliced bread. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. Her excitement about these so-called accomplishments is about as thrilling as a root canal. Let's be real here. She's just reheating Trump's leftover talking points and serving them up like a microwave TV dinner. Bland, uninspiring, and probably expired. This isn't leadership, it's nostalgia for a time that only exists in her head.
People are really going to have to narrow down where they're getting their information and keep all of the fake news from their sites, because we got to focus on the next 2.5 months to get out there, get people registered to vote. Because the fake news media is working overtime to try to help Kamala Harris, and if we allow that to happen, we're going to end up with not only more disastrous foreign policies, disastrous domestic policies, but we will plunge into 1,000 years of darkness, as you stated earlier.
And then there's the border. Oh, Kari loves to talk about the border. It's her go-to, like an actor's crutch in a bad soap opera. She pulls out stories about child smuggling like they're props in some kind of twisted morality play, using kids in cages as her ticket to the high ground. Meanwhile, let's not forget that the party she's head over heels for, led by the guy that she can't stop swooning over, wants to bring back those oh-so-compassionate cages where they rip children from their mother's arms. It's like she's starring in her own personal reality show where empathy is just a script note, sincerity is optional, and the truth is nowhere to be found. But let's cut through the crap. Kari Lake is nothing but a polished-up shyster, a snake oil salesperson in high heels. She's gotten real good at lying, and why wouldn't she? She's had plenty of practice. After all, she's still in denial over her stinging defeat in the Arizona governor's race. She can't let that one go now, can she? And now she's betting on the same crowd of uninformed, easily misled voters to lift her to victory. Judging by the amount of makeup she's wearing, she's even got Donald Trump's makeup person on speed dial. Seriously, does she think caking on the foundation will cover up the fact that she's nothing more than a power-hungry fraud, just like her orange-tinted idol? No amount of cosmetic wizardry can hide the fact that behind the curtain, Kari Lake is just another opportunist hungry for power, willing to say or do anything to get it.
You entered this Senate race as a household name in your state. Your opponent, who you just mentioned, came in with little to no statewide name identification. You have the backing of the former president and the Republican establishment in the Senate, but in most polls since the beginning of the contest, you've trailed Congressman Gallego. That was the average of polls from our partners at the Hill and Decision Desk HQ, showing you trailing by nearly 6 points. How do we account for this? How do you explain that?
Well, there were a couple of really bad outlier polls that were included in that were just absolutely absurd partisan polls. I know what my internal polling looks like. I'm ahead of him, but it is a horse race.
You know, Kari Lake reminds me of a villain in one of those over-the-top action movies. The kind who's always scheming in the shadows, manipulating everyone around her with a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. She's got that same hunger for control, the same disregard for the people she's supposed to be helping. But instead of a diabolical liar, she's got a campaign headquarters. Instead of plotting world domination, she's planning her ascent to Congress. And trust me, if she gets there, she's not going to be fighting for the good old people of Arizona. She'll be fighting for herself and the power that she craves. If you're even thinking about sending Kari Lake to Washington, let's be clear about what you're signing up for. She'll vote with the Republicans, which means she'll be against health care, against Social Security, against the climate, and absolutely in favor of giving the rich another fat tax break on your dime. You think things are tough now? Wait until Kari and her buddies get through with their shopping list of awful policies. And don't even get me started on women's rights. Kari's dream world is one where we're all back in the 1950s, barefoot, pregnant, and stuck in the kitchen. No thanks. That's not progress. That's regression wrapped up in a pretty speech and a fake smile. Arizona, it's time to wake up and smell the snake oil. Kari Lake might look good on camera if you can get past the Skeletor makeup, but don't be fooled. Just because she dresses up her words in fancy outfits and delivers them in a well-rehearsed cadence doesn't mean they're any less harmful. If we send this Looney Tune to Washington, we're signing up for more lies, more nonsense, and a whole lot of regret. It's time to vote for someone who actually cares about you, your family, and your future. Someone like Ruben Gallego, who won't sell you out for a headline, who won't sell you out for power, who won't certainly sell you out for the approval of a failed, disgraced former president. So let's wrap this up. Kari Lake is a polished con artist, nothing more, with nothing real to offer but a rerun of the same old Trump garbage we've already seen and suffered through. Don't fall for it, Arizona. We've got a chance to send someone to Washington who will fight for us, not against us. Vote for Ruben Gallego, because the last thing we need is another Trump puppet slithering into Congress, pushing policies that only benefit the wealthy, and dragging us all back to a time we have no intention of going back to. And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.